right, welcome to part 4 of this mini-series, and on this video I'm going to talk about task accountability. So the first thing to understand is what is the concept of task completion, and this means that a task completion requirements are set during the scope planning. In other words, in order for a task to be completed, what are the things that must be done? And this might seem very not really logical for most tasks, and it's not. For most tasks, we don't define this, but for tasks that are important for deliverables or for the results of the project, we should, especially when the task is complex or has a high degree of technical standards. So here, for this type of tasks, we should use documental evidence that provides the information about that task completion. Who was responsible, when did they work, what was the results, what problems they faced, and so on. So these documents we need to document and record the results of these tasks because they are so key important to the final project that we must have evidence of them. And here, performance of these tasks will be measured, obviously, according to the plan you created before, according to your baseline. So, for example, we're going to use some of the tools that we defined before. In terms of scope planning, we're going to use our deliverables and task completion requirements. In terms of schedule, our network diagram and Gantt chart. And in terms of budget, our budget baseline. So, in terms of validating task completions, in other words, who validates this completion? Well, there's two major approaches here. We can do a review of the task completion, obviously, and the person who reviews it is the person that completed the task and says, okay, now the task is done. But if you have a task, like I said, that is extremely important, then you should have what we call a review of the project deliverable. And the review of the project deliverable, in other words, because something was created, should be done by an expert, but should be done by an expert that does not work in the team. In other words, a little bit of outside. Best ideal case would be to have someone that works in the same company as you to review it. Worst case scenario, you can use an external consultant to do this review, but you need to be careful about confidential information. So, in order to monitor our tasks, some tasks are very long and we need to check how are they doing or what percentage have we already completed on them. And for that, there's two major approaches. The first approach is called series of mini deliverables. The second approach is called level of effort. A series of mini deliverables, it's something where we break down all the tasks into micro tasks. In other words, we're going to end up with thousands of micro tasks in a project. And we're going to create a list of all these tasks, and this requires a very detailed plan of all the tasks so that we understand what needs to be done in each micro task. And then we track the progress of the major tasks by tracking the progress of the completion of all the micro tasks. So this gives maximum control to the project leader, but at the same time creates a huge burden in terms of management to the project leader. A lot of time will be spent on just what we call busy work. So level of effort, on the other hand, generates a more, let's call ambiguous plan, a more general planning of all the tasks. And you manage it by checking what resources have been assigned. So for example, if a task already consumed 50% of the resources it's supposed to consume, then we would say the task is 50% complete. This gives maximum control to the leader of the task itself, and therefore what we do here is we delegate the responsibility of a task. As a manager, we delegate it to the task leader, and therefore we would have less control over the work of the project. Work authorization process is another component that is important on this topic, and this is about the process that authorizes a team or a supplier to start to work on a particular task. And this has a couple of things that it's important to know. Number one, this process can be formal or informal. Typically, I always request at least an email to have some evidence that I got authorized to do something. And this process will specify a couple of things, but it will specify what is the authorized activity that must be done and what are the deliverables that must be achieved. And here we're talking about what time the deliverables should be presented, what is the quality that they are expecting, what is the obviously the authorization to spend the resources in order to do that activity. When I say resources, remember, it can both mean time of people, but can also mean money. And obviously, what will be the reporting requirements? To who do I have to report? How frequently do I have to report? And so on. So task completion, as you see, has a couple of things we really have to be careful about. Remember, for key tasks, you should always keep the documents and the results achieved in these tasks, and you should always review the work of these key components. Okay, thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you on the next one.